Hey, Joe.
You're late.
Ever since Joe joined our crew, everybody's really been paying attention to all the little details. The meeting doesn't start for 5 minutes.
Not without a warm-up. You got to get better every day when you're in here. Now let's get after it. That's better. All right.
Yes, Coach.
Pick up the pace. Let's pick up the pace and keep working here. All right?
Having a Hall of Fame coach around really has helped our crew with time management.
24-second violation.
Joe, it always takes a minute.
Take a lap.
Hey, Travis.
What's up, Ski?
Hey, there's something on the copier. You go grab that for me?
Sure. Yeah, I
Thanks,
got
bud.
you. Man, guy can't do anything for himself. So lazy. Unbelievable.
What is that?
What's going
That's
on
a
here?
technical foul. You don't talk back to an official like that.
Wait, who's the rep? What's going?
Hey, I don't want any more lip. Get out of here and run some laps. Now go.
Okay.
Move it.
Jeez.
There's no letdown. Every day you got to get a little bit better. So let's get after it. All right? Let's have a break here. On 3, OH report.
What does do this? 1, 2, 3.
Ever since Joe's joined the team, our setup has gotten a lot faster. And I've been able to cancel my gym membership.
Dude, why are you checking the mic like that?
Joe's here today, and I'm not getting another 3-second call in the paint.
Huh?
Come on, Brian. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. That's better. That's better. Adam, that's good. That's really good, Adam. That's really good. No. Don't lose the dribble. Berardi. What is that kind of a dribble is that? I mean, that's the slowest dribble I've ever seen. Come on. We got to work harder at this. We got to get after it, fellas. All right, you guys take a break. That's good. That's good. Keep working, Travis. You might make the JV team. I don't know. 1, 2, 3. OH report. Last week we welcomed longtime Lexington and now Clearport, PA announcer Mike Clapper to our show, and this week we would like to welcome Jeff Allen, a voice and a face of high school sports here in the Mansfield area for many years. In fact, I'm going to say probably for about 40 years. If I think we'll start the conversation because I think you've told me the story when you kind of started on the job. I think at the radio was my first year.
Yeah, I was, my very first job out of college was at a startup radio station called WSWR. My first boss, Dave Williamson, said, I need you to do high school basketball. And I said, I don't know anything about basketball. And he goes, you'll learn. We need announcers. And I said, okay. And doing a bunch of games, and we did a lot of girls' games at the time, a ton of girls' games. And Shelby's team at the time was very good. And I was lucky enough that they had a team that wound up winning a state championship. And all of a sudden, everybody kept telling me, you're good. And I went, oh, well, maybe I should do this then. And I went ahead and kind of kept doing it. And then I had the opportunity when WMAN had a job opening in their sports department. They said, John Foster called me, who was then their program director. He said, would you like to interview for the job? And I said, yeah, sure, I would. So I went over, interviewed for it, and got it. And that's when I met you, because you were one of the first coaches I talked to. And it kind of went from there. And I stuck with them for a long time until I got let go. And
Well, let's jump back a little bit. But
Okay.
even before you got that job,
yeah, Well, I went to EU.
Did you go to? You went to Ashland University.
Ashland University.
And did you go into broadcasting?
Yes, that's why I went there. I originally started at Defiance.
That's up in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, yeah. And they really didn't have what I was looking for, so I came down. I talked to Dick Leidy, who was at Ashland University at the time, and I transferred there.
So what? I mean, I know in our conversations over the years, I know you played sports at Crestline, but
Yeah.
what made you kind of want to get into the broadcasting part of as a career?
I listened to guys on the radio who did ball games, and I thought, that probably would be fun. And
Did you used to do the old thing when you remember you had the old transistor radios? I remember I used to listen to George Kell and Ernie Harwell because I was a Tigers fan. I'd put that, like they'd be playing the Angels, 10 o'clock at night, you put that under your pillow.
that I didn't do, but I would have listened to all the Ohio State games.
Yep.
And I thought, I could probably do that. And went ahead and pursued it. And then got my first job. And then Dave Williamson, my first boss, said, "You need to do basketball." And I went, "Okay, you're my boss. I got to go."
So you started, you go to WMN, you take that job.
Yeah.
How did that lead into your job, which for a long time was at WMFD doing basketball games on TV?
As to which I like better, I like radio better because it's more, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, because sometimes on TV, it's better to
You just follow
be quiet for a little bit.
Shut up and watch the doggone game. Yeah.
You've done I don't know probably 1,000 high school sporting events, but being a basketball coach and my relationship with you being through basketball.
Yeah.
Maybe let's talk a little bit about some of the best maybe basketball games that you've had a chance to kind of be involved with, whether it be radio or TV.
Well, let's see. I'm not going to mention the one you think.
Well, we said that would be okay. I wasn't going to punch you or anything.
All right. That was disappointing because I did not want them to win. I wanted you guys to win. I think when Shelby girls won their state basketball championship back in 1983, that was a big deal. I mean, everybody in Shelby, everybody in Shelby showed up. I mean, the whole flippin' town went to Columbus. And that was a big deal. I enjoyed that immensely.
That was played at St. John's, correct?
That was played at St. John's.
One of the best venues for basketball ever.
Yes, and Shelby had a player who would wind up playing at Ohio State, Jody Roth, who was tremendous. Maybe the best female basketball player I ever saw.
Did you have a chance when Lexington made their couple runs? Did you cover those games?
Oh yeah, Lex made the run to state and beat West G. Thoroughly enjoyed that. As I'm driving down, and there was a car from West G that was in front of me all the way down to Columbus, and it said West Geauga, and it had the year before, knocked on the door. West Geauga, 1989, kicked the door down. That didn't happen.
Yeah, because I think that year Lex beat them in the finals, correct?
Yes.
And did they beat? I think they beat Triway in the semifinals.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
That's when they had the trio of Scholl, Hepner, and Rastelli.
Yeah.
And Greg Collins, and then I think Greg Collins 2 years later, Jamie Fike leads them.
Jamie Fike, yes.
To the state tournament.
The state tournament, yes.
So doing those state games.
Yeah.
What's that experience like as far as kind of being on press row there?
It's the ultimate, really, in my opinion. I mean, there you are, and everybody is listening. And but no, it's big, and you better be on top of your game.
So I'm assuming when we went in '95, you did our game.
Yes.
Yeah, against Orville and Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that,
Well, That was, I've always told this story with that, Jeff, is, I'd gone to state tournament probably ever since I was about a junior in high school.
Yeah.
And, typically if you go down to the state tournament, there's always maybe a game that somebody they just get crushed.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, how the heck did that team ever get there?
Yeah.
So I remember we win the regional. We beat Delta, who had crushed us the year before. We beat Delta in Toledo.
Yeah.
And we're going to play Orville. And, legendary coach Steve Smith. And, I start watching film on Orville, and I'm like, man, if Orville plays like really well and we play bad, we're going to be the team everybody's going to go. How'd that team get there? So the interesting part, I don't know if I've told you this story before, but we were the last game on Thursday night, because at that time the state tournament was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The finals were on Saturday. So in preparation of the week, we told our kids, hey, this is our plan. We put the agenda together, and it was that we would go down, I think, Thursday morning, because we were the last game. I think we were going to maybe be there for the game before, and then we were coming home Thursday night. After we won, we were coming home, and you guys were gonna get to sleep in, because you probably wouldn't get home till whatever, midnight or something. Mm-hmm. And then Friday we would bring you in and we would practice, and then we were either going to go down Friday night. I think we were going to go back down and stay in a hotel, because they would provide, at that time OHSA provided you hotels for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
No kid.
No matter if you used them. So it ends up, we played really, really well. Orville maybe not played as well, but we lose by, I think, 2. Brian Maloney was unbelievable. So when we lost, we decided that, hey, we're just going to stay for the weekend. Mm-hmm. Well, that was before cell phones or anything.
Yeah.
And none of our kids brought anything else. So they had to contact their parents before their parents went home, and their parents went home, brought them back stuff for the weekend. But the best part of the story is, after the game, we were the last game, so that game probably didn't get over till 9:30 or 10. Yeah. And St. John's was sold out, and we get to the locker room. Of course, our kids are emotional; they're crying. It's tough. And Brian Maloney, who had like 33, I think, was unbelievable. And so we head to the hotel. We get to the hotel room, and Brian, he's still just crying. And finally, I brought him into my room, and I said, hey, man, I said, you gotta let this go. I said, you just played one of the most incredible basketball games ever played in the state tournament. And he looked at me, and he goes, Coach, we're this close. Yeah. And he turns and he walks out of the room. Yeah. And I would try to go to sleep that night, and I'm going, you know what, he's right. We're this close. So we go to the finals, and Orville played Wheelersburg, and Orville crushes Wheelersburg by 20. And he's sitting right beside me, and as that game's going on, I'm going like this. We're this close. Yeah. And not to say that we would have been able to beat Wheelersburg, but I remember they were up like 20 at the fourth quarter, and at the end of the third, I go, hey, you guys ready to go? And Brian goes, Coach, let's get out of here. Yeah. And that's what it was. But those experiences, like you said, the opportunity to play at a place like St. John's Arena is really, really special. So any maybe specific games, though, in this area that have stuck out in your mind? I know, you've done hundreds of them that you might say, hey, this was a special moment.
A lot of games with senior high and Malabar. Yep. That, people think, senior high in Madison, that's nothing. Yeah. Senior high in Malabar was hate. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
Well, that was one of the things when I came here in 84, 85. Yeah. Found out quickly that was the game when it was on.
Oh yeah. And we always did it. My mom graduated from senior high, and she always tells this story. Forgive me, but when that end of town was built up after World War II, doctors and lawyers didn't want to go to school with all the regular folks in the city. You can dig where I'm coming from.
Right.
And the people from senior high didn't like it. What made it worse, at one time, they wanted to change the name of senior high school to Kingwood High School. And my dad, who's a Crestline graduate, came home one day and said, oh, they want to change senior high's name, to which my mom blew a fuse. But no, they didn't like that. They wanted to change it to Kingwood High School. And, well, there was the orange and brown side of the table, and there was the red and white side of the table. And the red and white side of the table, more or less, well, I can't do what they did, but they kind of gave it the old one-finger salute. And the war was on.
In that rivalry, though, any special players that stick out in your mind?
Ahmed Kent.
Yep.
Brian Buford.
Yep.
Oh, gosh, who else?
Bubba Toddy, probably.
Bubba Toddy. Yeah.
I mean, there were some,
Caprice Owens.
there were some tremendous athletes that
Yes.
played at those
Oh, man.
in that rivalry.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. When I said, when I left Shelby and I come over here to do basketball, I went, oh, my God. I said, that's kind of like going from Little League to the majors.
Well, let's maybe continue on that a little bit because, you know, I talked to a lot of coaches in the area, and one of the coaches
Yeah.
talked to recently was Scott Sellers, and he was like, you know what you need to do on your show, Joe? He said, you need to come up with like the 5 best players like you've ever coached. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can do that. But we've already mentioned some names of players. Are there any other players in basketball, whether, I mean, you mentioned Jody Roth as a girls player.
Yeah.
But any other players in your long time broadcasting career that come to mind that like, hey man, these players were really special?
Let me think. It was Benji Hall.
Yeah, Benji was
very good.
That's really good.
Benji was very good. There was, I already mentioned Ahmed Kent.
If you're like me, it's hard to remember all of them.
I can't think of all of them, but Brian Buford, Malabar.
Yep.
Who else? Come on.
Well,
Jamie Fike.
Yep, Jamie Fike, of course.
Jesus.
Well, let's talk though a little bit as we kind of go from players, but just your relationship that you had with coaches in this area, because I don't know if people are aware of the amount of time that you put in on a weekly basis to try to get to a practice, interview coaches, and then maybe even more importantly, interview players. Because I've told players this, I mean, probably every year I coached in Ontario, I said, man, you guys have no idea how special you have it. Because number one, okay, you usually have a newspaper that's going to cover your game.
Yeah.
There's going to be a radio station.
Yeah.
And then when you got to WMFD, I mean, I can't think of the number of games that Ontario had on WMFD.
That was the best part, honestly, going out and seeing coaches and players, even more so than the games. I always tell everybody that. I said, I like talking with the coaches. I like talking with the players. I like going to Crawford. I like going to, places like that, because when you showed up, it was great. I mean, they made it, everybody made me feel special. Everybody made me feel like, I was somebody. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Well, you were.
and I appreciated it. It was great.
Well, besides having the best relationship with me,
oh yeah.
What other coaches did you like to cover?
Greg Collins.
Yep.
And there was a couple times when I went to practice, and like you, he would get upset. What are we doing?
Well, fortunately, you didn't put those in the interview.
It'd have been great if I would have. You mean they get mad? Yeah, they like winning.
So you had Greg Collins, myself.
Steve Moore, when he was at Shelby.
Yep.
He was fun. I'm gonna leave somebody out.
Did you do Joe Pratt's when he was at senior high?
Joe Pratt's, thank you. Joe Pratt's. Yeah, I remember that.
And then who was the guy that was at Malabar? It was Steve Miller. Yeah.
Steve Miller. The Steve Miller Band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that I try to do on this with this segment of the show is is we try to highlight like coaches, and we talk a lot about philosophy, but also I've tried to expand that. I've even, believe it or not, I had official on last year and Charlie Scott, and we talked about officiating. And as I mentioned, last week we had Mike Clapper, because Mike Clapper's he's part of that high school experience.
Yeah.
And I think, guys like yourself are part of the high school experience here in the Mansfield area that I don't think until kids get out of high school they understand how special that you made it. So on behalf of all the years that I've coached, and I'm sure of all the coaches that we have in this area, Jeff, we truly appreciate all the years that you put in to dedicating yourself to high school sports in Mansfield area. And
it was fun.
There's probably not enough words we can say to say, hey, thank you. So on my behalf here of the Joe Show, which I think you're shocked at some of the things that got me doing, I would like to thank you for coming on and talking a little bit about your career and your experience here with basketball in North Central Ohio. So greatly appreciated, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. It was fun.
Season 3 of The Joe Show is brought to you exclusively by Buckeye Horizon, your local Trane comfort specialist. Schedule an appointment online at BuckeyeHorizon.com or call their Mansfield location at 419-529-2738.
The Clear Fork girls basketball team is in the midst of perhaps the most successful regular season in program history. With 16 wins already and 3 more games remaining on the schedule, the Lady Colts are in line to set numerous program records and forecast a deep tournament run when they compete in the newly formed Division 5. To see what's driving the team's prosperity, I made a trip out to the Valley on the heels of the squad's 12-game winning streak to catch up with head coach Scott Sellers and his LCP crew.
Well, last year, Scott, we talked about kind of just your coaching journey and how you got this job here at Clear Fork. And what I'd like to maybe talk to you about in this interview is just kind of how you built this program, because I think you said this is your 5th year in the girls programs. So I'd like to maybe, for our viewers, we're going to just maybe talk about maybe like a timeline. So the first thing is, you end your season last year in the district tournament. Okay, that the season ends, and maybe talk a little bit about what you do at the end of the season, to end the season, and then what do you do to start preparing for the next year?
Yeah, and I'd even back it up to after the first year. We took our lumps. I think I was hired a week before the season, call it. And it was struggle fest. We won 7 games, and after that season, like, what do we have to do to be able to compete with these teams that really dominate the game around here? And it goes back to, what do you do in the off season? How are you building your youth program? And then how do you get those players to come up? So that was goal year 1, was let's get something established at the youth level. So, by year 4 or 5, you got kids that can play. I've said this to people, the best coaches always have one thing in common. They just have the best players. So if you really buy into skill development like we do, then it takes some of the guesswork out of how to win. To answer your question, last year, we ended up 17-8 for the 2nd consecutive season. I thought we had a great year. You find out, though, that we weren't very deep. I had 5 kids that averaged 25 plus minutes a game. And that's something we really looked at in the off season, and we thought that we had some kids coming up with some length that would be able to contribute to the team's success this year. And we challenged them to get in the gym more, to do some things that they needed to do. And we're playing 8 kids anywhere from 16 minutes up this year, which is a nice luxury to have.
So when you talked about you challenged them, do you have like individual conferences with each of these players when the season ends?
Yep, we have our end of the year evaluations. I'll sit down with them and I'll talk about here are the things you did really well. Here are the things you can probably work on. And here are your opportunities for next year. We look at it as, if you're in our top 7, 8, 9, and you can play the game, it doesn't really matter what your last name is. It doesn't matter how long you've played or been in the program. If I have a freshman that can flat out play, I'll play them. And if it's seniors, I'll play them. It's equal to everybody, and it has everything to do with how much time you put in, your skill set, and how much you buy into us. And I'm the beneficiary of a community that has really supported the kids with multi-sport athletes to get tough coaching elsewhere, and so we take advantage of that as well. Just the environment that we're in, we're very lucky here. Again, we've seen success because these kids have had success outside of the basketball court.
So in the spring, maybe just be a little bit specific about, your season ends, you probably, you got the 30-day dead period. And then in the spring, like what's the plan as far as when you start maybe in April and May, what you have your kids doing?
It's usually April 15th is when we start
tax day.
Yeah, so when we start tracking stuff. So I look at the off season kind of in three chunks, right? It's April, May, it's June team ball in July, dead period in August, and then it's September, October. We compete with softball, meaning we lose kids to softball. If our kids play a sport out of season for us, I don't let them in the gym with us. They're supposed to focus on softball, focus on soccer. If you guys want to shoot, you got to go do that on your own, but you won't come into an open gym with us. We've had great support from our other coaches as well that allow them to focus on the season that they're in, currently. So we start doing some things around mid-April as far as shots. I have curriculum for them as far as dribbling, passing, shooting, some skill development things you can do on your own. That's really April, May. June is really heavy team ball, first 3 weeks, and then it's all about skill development the rest of June and July. August is off, and then by the time you get to September, October, half of our team plays soccer, and so they put in the work kind of getting into there. The nice thing though is they're running and jumping and doing all the things that translate over to the basketball floor, September, October. So it's a good balance there. To answer your question though, for us, it starts the day after we lose, honestly, from a coaching staff perspective, evaluating things. And then it is, what do we need to do to give these kids the ability to get better? And then when they buy in, I think you can see that you can get better relatively short amount of time.
So you mentioned about, those first 3 weeks of June kind of being the team thing. When you look at this team this year, and maybe the expectations you had, what did you do maybe in those 3 weeks with that team stuff to challenge those kids as far as like kind of what events did you go to, or what did you do with your open gyms?
We went to 4 shootouts. We set up a couple scrimmages. You get 13 coaching days now, which we don't extend. It is, for us, it's June 1st through June 21st, call it. Outside of that, it's mostly skill stuff. But what it allows you to do now, Coach, is we had 90% of our offense stuff installed. We had our fast break stuff. I got to see rotations. I had 9 or 10 kids that we took everywhere. That's since came down to 8 that kind of play in our rotation. So that allows you, and it's a nice luxury to have, it allows you to hit the ground running in October when our soccer team goes on a regional run. We get them a week and a half late, but it really doesn't matter. I think they could have won a state title this year, and I don't know that we necessarily would have had to push the season because a lot of the teaching stuff we covered in June, and they knew it and they picked it up really quick. So that is a nice thing, nice change, I think, that OHSA and you guys have made, allowing us to do a couple more things so where we don't have to really jam everything in at the beginning of the season.
And within that, we're talking about your varsity and your JV teams there, but like in the summer, what do you do with your youth program, and then maybe talk a little bit about how you take that from the summer into the fall and what you're doing with them now in the winter?
So we do a lot of things where they'll submit some scores for shooting and things like that. Obviously, we run our team camp. We have we've identified coaches now from grades 3 through 8 that are with those kids in the summer. So we get them gym time. They have access to the players. We do our team camp, obviously, and we bring them in a couple days a week, even the youth kids, for dribble, pass, shooting stuff, and they've bought in during a time where they're playing softball and they're playing soccer. So we don't go crazy. A couple days a week, all voluntary. But you can see now when we're in our league play now for grades 3 through 6s, they're having a lot of success because there's a bunch of kids that have been mini cultivars, and parents have seen some success that we've had at this level. And so the kids are bouncing the ball a little bit more, and it translates in the winter, all the stuff they're doing in the summer.
Let's delve in just a little bit to, we got a chance to watch your practice last year, and being a former coach, I just love the pace of your practice. But maybe talk to our viewers a little bit about your philosophy, or how do you develop a practice plan? You have it broken down into certain segments, and kind of what you're looking for, as you make those plans.
Yeah, I think everybody does it different. I've talked to coaches from everywhere and asked them, how much contact do you do, or non-contact, or how much are you lifting, or how long are your practices? So everybody has a different kind of opinion and strategy on it. I personally believe in a lot of skill development. I believe in conditioning. I believe in, if you got kids that can dribble, pass, shoot, defend, and rebound, I think that you can win. And then it comes down to, how's their motor, how's their attitude and effort, how's their work ethic. Those 8 kind of things. We have a kid this year in Mel Blue Ball who fits every category there, all 8. I also have some really tough kids like Ashton Wine and Haley Thrush that, maybe were kind of 2 or 3 tool kind of kids that have now developed into 5 or 6 pieces of that. And so we track that, we really encourage it, and I think that roles within a team, right, are very important, and I can see kids kind of taking ownership of that during the season, and I think it does lead to some success for our team.
And you bring that up because when we did the segment with Mel around the arena, asked her kind of compare last year's team with this year's team, and the one thing she mentioned was, seems like everybody understands their role in this basketball team. And she also brought up another thing that maybe I'd like you to talk about too, because I think is important as far as a team developing. She mentioned she didn't really mention specifically, but maybe you can, about some of the things you try to do with your team as far as building that team, in the summer and then through the fall, and now as you're in the season, maybe some, I guess we call them team bonding or team culture things that you try to do to make it more than just basketball.
Yeah, we do. We start that in the summer. Once they're out of softball, we have overnights. We have access to some facilities around here to where they can go do some things like that. And the way we select captains, we put a lot of accountability and leadership stuff baked into what they do. We give them a lot of latitude to make decisions. As far as specific team building, like the kids that understand their roles, they've all been really successful at other sports as well. I do think that helps. I think that kids will get away what you allow them to get away with. But we encourage and we promote them to, to have their own voice and to work really hard. And, again, I'm incredibly lucky. I have 3 seniors this year that one of them tore her ACL, Katrina Rogers, in the summer. She's been to every practice this season, right? She's come to every practice when she could have done something else. Lily Weichel is one of the most unselfish kids I have ever coached because she doesn't care about rebounds and assists and how many shots she gets. Her role is to understand how to kind of get into our offense and run it as our post, and she's just invaluable to us. And then you have Mel, who everybody knows, so she's just taken such a big leap from support player to really a star on our team and in the area. And so for me as a coach to have that, and then for the other kids to see that, it's how you set a culture. I think there's some things that we do at the top, but ultimately it's the kids, it's the parents, and the help that we've gotten from them. I don't think I could be in a better situation being at my alma mater for 5 years, and I have a bunch of parents, and it's overlooked. I have a bunch of parents that they just allow us to coach their kids as hard as we can, and it's a nice luxury to have, to where you're not getting phone calls and things like that all the time.
But I think you mentioned, you said you got a couple of players that you played with their parents.
Like Ashton Wine's dad I grew up with, I graduated with. Haley's dad, Rodney, was a couple grades below us, but a lot of them I've gotten to really know even since reconnecting with the program. And they let us get after the kids, and when it's warranted, we do, but a lot of them are self-motivated, so that makes it a lot easier as well for us.
Yeah. Well, from a former coach looking in on the outside, I think you're doing things the right way. I mean, that's I really enjoy watching your kids play. I enjoy watching them practice. I know you have some big games coming up this week. And from myself and the OH Report, we continue to wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to getting the chance to cover you in the tournament
Well,
as we make this run.
And it means a lot to me having you here. So you guys that don't know, we played against this guy forever. I did. You're one of the best around. Obviously, well worth it. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame and OH Report. Thanks for all the coverage and everything you guys do. It's thanks for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thanks, Coach.
Greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
A disappointing loss at home to Shelby on Saturday night, where Clear Fork led for all but 40 seconds, ended their chances of scoring the program's first league championship in more than 20 years. But at 16-3 overall and a winnable game against Highland on their schedule this week, Coach Seller's bunch should earn the #1 seed in their district and host an opening round playoff game. We'll cover the Lady Colts throughout their tournament journey right here on the OH Report, which amazingly is just 2 weeks away. We had 8 candidates up for Coach B's Ballers for games played January 15th through the 21st. And after totaling up all the votes across our social media platforms, here's who you, the fans, chose as our winner. Congratulations to Carter Myers of River Valley, who earned last week's award by 20 fan votes. The sophomore put up 16 points, grabbed 4 rebounds, and turned away 2 shot attempts in a 56-48 victory over Pleasant to maintain the Vikings' 1-game lead in the MOAC standings. Now it's time to meet this week's nominees for Coach B's Ballers, featuring the top individual performances captured by our cameras over the last 7 days. Our first nominee is Callie Carpenter of the Fredericktown Freddies. Callie was the maestro in the Freddies' win over Mount Gilead last Wednesday night. Callie scored 20 points, which included 2 threes from beyond the arc and 2 traditional threes of the and one variety. This senior guard is averaging almost 17 points per game and has one of the best field goal percentages in the KMAC. Currently, her team is 11-3 overall and 7-2 in the KMAC, 1 game behind league leader Centerburg. Our second nominee is Josh Heilman of the Upper Sandusky Rams. Josh was cooking from downtown as he drained 5 threes en route to a game-high 19 points in the Rams' 56-43 win over Riverdale on Saturday night. For good measure, Josh also had 3 steals for the Rams. Currently, the Rams are 12-4 overall and are ranked number 3 in the Division IV Northwest District 1. Upper Sandusky will travel to Cary on Friday as they will try to continue to build their resume for the tournament draw on Sunday, February the 9th. Our third nominee is Sydney Mobley of the Big Walnut Eagles. Sydney dominated the paint versus rival Delaware Hayes in the Eagles' dominating 72-34 win over the Pacers. Sydney had a monster double-double as she scored 20 points and grabbed 11 rebounds. Sydney, only a sophomore, is one of the top girls players in Ohio and also one of the top in the country. Her team is currently 12-3 overall and 7-2 in the Capital Division of the Ohio Capital Conference. The Eagles are at 13-3 Newark tonight. Our fourth nominee is Braden Holt of the Colonel Crawford Eagles. Braden nearly outscored Buckeye Central in the Eagles' 62-39 win over the Bucks as he scored 31 points, which included 3 long-range threes and 2 3-point plays by the and one variety. This junior recently scored over 1,000 points in his career and continues to lead Coach David Sheldon Eagles to a 14-1 record overall and a 9-0 mark in the N10. The Eagles are at Bucyrus on Thursday and then host Mount Gilead on Saturday. Our fifth nominee is Izzy Stockmaster of the Seneca East Tigers. This junior guard went wild in the Tigers' 14-point win at Buckeye Central on Saturday. She scored 21 points, which included 4 threes. She also had 2 steals, enhancing a great day for her and the Tigers. Izzy averages 15 points per game for her team, which is currently 13-4 overall and 9-2 in the N10, just a half game behind the Colonel Crawford Eagles. The Tigers and Eagles will match up in a decisive game on Friday night at the Eagles' Nest. Our sixth nominee is Owen Pollock of the Big Walnut Eagles. This junior post player was dominant in the paint in the Eagles' 45-44 come-from-behind win over Westerville South on Friday night. Owen scored 22 points, with 16 of those coming in the second half. He was also a force defensively as he blocked 3 shots. Big Walnut stands at 9-6 overall for the season and are currently ranked number 4 in the RPI for Division II Central District. The Eagles might be a team to watch in Central Ohio in the stretch run of the season. Our 7th nominee is Eve Schwemley of the Shelby Whippets. Eve dropped the 30 spot in the Whippets' 69-65 win over Clear Fork in the Cold Corral on Saturday night. This was one of the best girls' games of the year as Shelby came back from a 16-point deficit to claim a share of their 7th consecutive MOAC crown. Eve had 5 threes, including a crucial one from the corner off a baseline out-of-bounds play late in the game. She also added 5 assists. The Whippets are 16-1 overall as they prepare for the girls' tournament draw on Sunday. Like always, we'll put these nominees up for a fan vote and let you decide who my top baller of the week will be. Let's take a water break with a 30-second timeout and be back with more Joe Show after a word from our sponsor, Buckeye Horizon.
Season 3 of The Joe Show is brought to you exclusively by Buckeye Horizon, your local Trane comfort specialist. Get the best in home comfort, hot or cold. We're here for you.
Whew! Thanks for keeping it with us here on the Joe Show. I'm Brian Skowronski. Just got done doing some wind sprints, but I'm back feeling energized, catching my breath again here and ready to bring you the top cuts of the week. And if you like ladies hoops here in the area, this countdown is definitely for you. I believe 8 of my top 10 best plays from the last 7 days are all coming up right here. So without further ado, it's ladies' night. Let's go. Here come your top cuts of the week, presented exclusively by Buckeye Horizon. Let's turn the faucet to full blast here to kick off the countdown. This is sophomore Ava Fawcett leading the break and forcing the defender off her feet. Check out the awesome head fake turn Euro step again in a filthy lefty finish. More left-handed magic on the way at number 9. Grace Walton about to use her hoop skills like a sous chef as she knifes between a pair of carry defenders. Nobody does it better than the reigning N10 player of the year. 3 plays coming up from Big Walnut, beginning with Denza Allen, who's about to flash her bag as the leader of the SWAT team. Patrolling the lane like she's the girl version of RoboCop in a key conference clash with Westerville South. More Eagles coming up on the way here at number 7. And after taking on 3 Bucks, the Eagle will land. Payne DeGray gets everybody gazing at the shot fake as he steps through the lane plus the harm to help extend Crawford's win streak to 15 straight. Let's head back to the mountaintop now, where Addie Newman is about to penetrate off the wing, but the Phoenix will arise from the ashes and even score back possession. Watch again to see Bella's block carry off Addie, and it's Devil basketball. I've got some soft touch on the way at number 5, or Elise Seifert does anyways for Buckeye Central. Smooth 1-2 step glides away down the lane. Gorgeous move, better finish. 2 points here for the junior forward. Golden Eagles defense flying back into your countdown right now. Remy Largent initially going to get beat off the drive, but she will send the ball into recovery. Right off the shooter's chest, too. Let's take a second look at this wicked block. Awesome timing by the sophomore in a win over Delaware Hayes. Monster matchup Tuesday night. Shelby's riding a 13-game win streak into Bellevue, where Carrington Savage gonna zip a no-look pass, whoop, down low to Caitlin Turinsky, cashing it in for some easy money. 18th win in 19 tries for the Lady Red this season, but probably none more sweet than taking this rivalry showdown. At number 2, we head back down to Big Walnut. Closing seconds In a rivalry of their own, Brody Hatfield here at the controls, down by 1 when he decides to make his move, and Hatfield would deliver. Game winner on that amazing reverse layup, and in the words of commentator Bryce Coder, he wasn't even looking at the basket! Primetime play from the junior to knock off Westerville South. But at number 1, we head out to the Clear Fork Valley where the MOAC Championship's on the line. Final minute coming off the clock. Loose ball coming up here, gonna get tossed to Charlie Neese. She finds Sophia Long, skip pass to Alyssa Booker, who claims the lead for good. Lady Whippets trailed by as many as 16 late in the third quarter, but earn a 7th straight league title, thanks in large part to this clutch 3. Those are 2 really sensational top plays this week. Clutch jeans on fleek for sure. So you got to let me know in the comments section. I went back and forth. What do I decide? Who actually had the best play of the week? Not even looking with a reverse winner or a girl hitting a 3 for a conference championship. You tell me down here in the comment section. All right, we're going to flip it back over to Joe. He's about to go around the arena in Sunbury. Joe?
There's some exciting things brewing down in Sunbury with Big Walnut's current group of athletes. After making a run to the state Final Four in football, the boys basketball team has followed up with another successful season, led by a talented group of underclassmen. Though just a sophomore, forward Eli Stumpf has provided the Golden Eagles with a versatile option at both ends of the floor. I took a trip around the arena with Eli this week to find out more about his basketball life.
Okay, we're here with Eli Stumpf of the Big Walnut Eagles, and we're just going to go around the arena. So, Eli, you're only a sophomore, but you've had some great experiences already as an athlete here at Big Walnut. One of them being the starting quarterback on a very, very good football team this past year. But maybe talk to us a little bit about how that adjusting from football to basketball.
Yeah, adjusting as of position-wise, I mean, I think being a quarterback, you've got to just be able to maintain your composure and make sure that you're kind of leading everyone in the right direction, although you're not going to be perfect, but just try to be as good of a role model as you can. And then translating from football to basketball was definitely a little tough because, you know, football shape and basketball shape's a little bit different and the different muscles you use and stuff like that. But I think it's been pretty good. You know, we've been in the gym ever since. As soon as we got out of football, we were right back in the gym. So I think.
How long was it before you guys played your first game when you ended your football season?
I think we had. I believe it was two or 3 weeks, if that. I think it was 2 weeks.
Did you feel like you ever hit like a kind of a wall here, maybe at the end of December with it's basketball, and that maybe now you're kind of rejuvenated?
Yeah, a little bit. It was kind of getting tough just to like, I don't know, mentally just kind of staying in it. It's a lot of time to play sports back to back, but I think winter break kind of reset everything. So we're trying to get back on track now.
Yeah, not in school helps a little bit. Yeah. Snow days help also.
That was great.
So being a 2-sport athlete and being, you know, a really good 2-sport athlete just as a sophomore, maybe talk to our viewers a little bit about like what's a typical day for you, like in June, being in football and basketball.
Yeah. So June schedule was definitely the most busy month I think I've ever had in my entire life. Mornings we'd come in for 3 hours of football and do our lifting, our speed stuff, and then we'd go out and do our new tradition we're starting where we're pushing sleds across the field just about every day. And then after that I'd either have basketball practice, open gyms, or we'd be at a shootout, whether that was up in Sandusky or in Columbus area. We're just always playing. So yeah, those days are pretty busy.
I think every player I talk to when I do these has somebody that's kind of been a big influence in their career so far. Who might that person or persons be for you?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. I think my dad obviously has pushed me to constantly try to be better. And then another kid that graduated last year, went to Westerville Central. His name is Devin Martin. He's playing at Wheaton now, Division II in Chicago. He really helped me just kind of physically get adapted to high school basketball, as he was working me out when I was in 8th grade and just really pushing me all throughout the years, and I think he's really helped me.
Is there a college or a professional player that maybe you kind of try to be like or kind of influences how you play?
I could say probably a lot of people, after being a Buckeye fan, watching Will Howard and kind of how he orchestrates himself and the team, I think that's someone I would like to model myself after.
What do you enjoy most about playing basketball?
Probably just that, like, it happens so quick, so there's always a chance for you to make a play, and you can't hold a grudge on a play. You just got to move on to the next one.
Got to do what your coach probably says a lot, or your dad.
Yeah.
Next play mentality. That's a big
absolutely.
key. If you're not playing basketball or football, what do you enjoy doing?
I enjoy fishing, hunting, hanging out with my cousins. We all live by each other, so it's really fun to just always go hang out with them. And I do photography and videography, like a little business in my free time.
You have a favorite pregame meal?
Shout out Seymour, her grilled cheese. Really good pregame.
So do you eat the same thing every time?
Try to. Grilled cheese and broccoli from Seymour.
Not a long high school career yet, but the best memory you've had so far?
It's definitely both of the New Albany games. I played decently well in both of those games. It was a really fun atmosphere, and just getting those 2 wins over a rival school, as being as young as I was really cool.
I think I was here actually scouting. My son's a JV coach at Kilboard, and I think the New Albany game, I believe you hit like 4
or 5 threes.
back to back, I believe.
Yeah.
Your dad's the basketball coach.
Yep.
What's that mean to you?
It's definitely got its pros and cons. A lot of people would look at it as like, I mean, there's multiple different ways people view it. They can view it as, you know, you have all this freedom to do whatever you want, and then there's also my view of it of like, I've got to hold myself to a higher standard and constantly getting pushed. But it's definitely something that I've owned and just kind of gone with the flow of things and let him. He does the coaching when he's here, but he's my dad at home.
Yeah. I had 2 sons that played for me, and that's one of the things I always tried to do. I was a coach when I was on the floor, but when I went home, wanted to be the dad, and I think that's good.
Yep.
And I think probably when you get out of high school, it's going to be something really special to look back on. So appreciate you.
Yeah.
Wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
At 9-6 overall, Big Walnut has a tough schedule to close out their regular season in the difficult OCC Capital Division. The Golden Eagles will compete in Division II when the playoffs tip off in 3 weeks. So they hope to be battle-tested with plenty of competition awaiting them in Columbus at the districts. That's the end of regulation for this week's show, which went pretty good, but still isn't perfect. Believe me, though, with enough push-ups and wind sprints, we'll get there.
All right, Joe. I know you said run till I can't feel my feet no more. Well, I think I'm there, man. Whew.
No worries. You're in perfect push-up form. Another 50 should be good for now.
30.
You always got to be ready for overtime.
Thanks for keeping it us.
Start again. Ready? 3, 2, 1, cut, action. I'm gonna, as soon as I say action, you can start, okay? Remember to look at the camera and smile. 3, 2, 1, action.
Thanks for keeping it here with us on the Joe Show. I just completed my wind sprints, and I am back energized, ready to bring you the top cuts of the week. A lot of ladies making our countdown this week. I think 8 of the top 10 are just girls basketball. So if you love lady hoops, kick it. Bye-bye.
And cut.